A long time ago, I raised a son to know his Raimi from his Romero.
Now we're turning our arguments into content. This is I Am Your Father, where Gen X meets Gen Z in the zombie apocalypse yet again.
What can you do?
It just keeps coming around, doesn't it?
I am Graham.
And I am Braden.
How you doing, son?
I'm doing good. It's been honestly a very busy and stressful week, but this has become one of my favorite parts of the week. It's always like a little bit of a relaxing, fun thing to do, so I'm excited.
Despite all the work we put into it throughout the entire week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The actual recording of it is very fun.
I agree. I totally agree. Why don't you introduce our main topic for today to our listeners, and we can kind of work our way toward it.
Yeah, I think they just got a little bit of a hint there, but our main topic is going to be a zombie movie draft. We're going to go back and forth trying to compile the best list, hopefully stealing from one another. And we are going to play a little fast and loose with the term zombie. There's a lot of, argument about what qualifies as a zombie movie. What the zombies have to do. Do they have to eat brains? If they bite you, are you infected?
How did they become undead?
Exactly? There's a lot of semantics, but we're gonna play.
We'll talk a little about that.
We'll dive into our exact parameters a little bit later.
Why is this topic coming up today? Like, what's inspired us?
Yeah. So, 28 years later, the Bone Temple,
Bone Temple.
28 inches later, the Boner Temple, whichever you prefer.
I think you've been streaming on the wrong channel.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, you and I just both saw it this last week when it came out.
Yes.
We're going to do a little bit of a mini review on that before we dive into our draft. And also a few little other mini reviews for some other things we watched this week that I think are noteworthy. But should we just... Well, before we dive into that, I do just want to say... Something else in kind of like the movie world that I'm currently excited about is I realized with Avengers Doomsday less than a year away, I better basically get started on my Marvel rewatch now because there's just that much going on. So I got a buddy of mine, his name is Bo, shout out Bo. He's one of the few people who listens to every single episode, constantly gives me positive feedback. And I was talking to him. Yeah, exactly. I was talking to him. He's only seen a few Marvel movies. So I basically set up this list. We're going to go through everything over the course of the next year together and talk about it and all that stuff. So any excuse to rewatch the MCU and its, other related Marvel stuff is always going to make me happy. Yeah.
Oh, well, I agree. Well, that's great. I mean, keep us in the loop, and thank you for your listenership, Bo. Yeah, we don't have a lot of listeners, but we have devout listeners.
Yeah, a few.
At
least 3. Yeah, I think at least 3.
At least 3 devout listeners. Don't let's pretend like it's 3,000.
Oh yes,
300,000.
3K.
Yeah. Well, if you're listening. If you are one of those devout listeners or just a casual listener, please spread the word.
Yeah,
do some reposts.
Spread it like the zombie virus.
That's right. We're very similar to that.
Yes,
to the zombie. Hey, listen. Before we dive in, we both watched a non-zombie movie this week.
Yes, we did.
That's getting a lot of conversation. I figure we should discuss a little bit. But we both watched the new Matt Damon and Ben Affleck Netflix-produced film, The Rip. High level, I will say that I liked it. It was a lot better than I expected it to be. I didn't expect it to be bad necessarily, but it was better than I expected it to be. And considering this was directed by Joe Carnahan, who I feel like is kind of hit or miss, but he's had some good ones. Like I really like his movie Narc.
Haven't seen that one.
From the early 2000s, I think. Really, really good crime thriller. Crime drama, and this was right in there for me. I enjoyed it. What were your thoughts on The Rip?
Yeah, I mean, I expected to like it. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck reunited on screen, playing cops. That's basically all I knew about it going into it. I expected to like it, and I think it was better than I expected. There were, I'll be honest, the first 2 to 3 minutes had me nervous. I was not vibing with it right away. It felt kind of low budget and very Netflix, clearly made by Netflix. But by the time we got our main cast on screen and very quickly progressed into the beginning of the plot, I was invested all the way through. I thought it was really, really fun. It wasn't, anything extremely high level or anything like that, but it was completely competent, completely enjoyable, and I was thoroughly entertained all the way through.
Yeah, it had me guessing throughout.
Yeah.
I don't want to suggest that it's like a super brilliant plot necessarily, but I think that they did a really good job of creating tension, of creating a little bit of confusion as a viewer of like, oh, is this are we the good guys or are we not the good guys? Who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? And throughout, I found myself going like, oh wait, oh, he's for sure bad. Oh nope, he's good. He's the bad. Nope, he's good. And I enjoyed that. The other thing I really liked the other thing I really liked a lot was I liked Carnahan's use of light, especially that sequence at the end where 4 of them are in the back of an armored truck, and they're kind of like it's a bit of a standoff where they're trying to figure out like who's on whose side, who's on the level, who's corrupt, and as they're driving, the lights are like shining through these small windows in this really, really cool way that was creating a lot of ambiance and tension for me. I liked it a lot. I'd say, going back to your comment about the cheapness, I noticed it more toward the end. There was a few scenes, in the I guess Miami wilderness that felt very much like they were in a soundstage or in the volume or something along those lines. But other than that, I enjoyed it. I thought everybody, all the performances were really good. It was good to see a handful of those actors again being used in a really cool way. So I liked it. I recommend it.
I'd say very solid. Recommend as well. I also this week happened to watch another zombie movie other than The Bone Temple called We Bury the Dead. Now on Letterboxd, this is listed as coming out in 2024, but it just now released in the US at the beginning of January. So this is a zombie movie starring Daisy Ridley, and that was all I knew about it going in. That was the selling point. I heard that it was decent, like pretty decent, all things considered. I mean, considering that hardly anybody has talked about it or anything like that. I went and saw it. I was the only person in the theater. The only person. So, I mean, that was kind of cool. And I will say...
it's not a good sign for the film.
No. And I was going... It had only been in theaters for like a couple days, and I was going to the last showing. Like, legitimately the last showing I could find. So, it did not have long life in the U.S., unfortunately. But quick little review, I would say that there were parts of it that I found extremely appealing. The beginning specifically I thought was really good. There were some parts in the middle that were good. And then the actual ending itself, like the last 5 minutes of the film, I thought was really good. But throughout, I unfortunately was just getting very bored. It found like a zombie apocalypse movie should not really be boring, But there's actually really only like 5 to 10 minutes of zombies in this zombie apocalypse movie. And so it's very slow. It's focused on some story beats, and that's totally fine. A lot of it works, but unfortunately, I think it's paced just way too slowly. So ultimately, those parts that I really did enjoy about the movie weren't enough to really elevate my enjoyment to the point where I would recommend somebody else watch it, because the slow parts were just so slow and really dragged it down for me, unfortunately.
You don't seem to be alone in your assessment. Just kind of looking at some high-level reactions to the film, there's a lot of people that said something similar to what you're saying. Like, I really wanted to like this. Yeah, I did. It was just okay at best. Yeah. That's a bummer. That's a bummer. Well, and there's what's funny is there's a pregnant zombie that gives birth in this movie, and somebody like I saw a review with the meme. It's like, if I had a nickel for every time I saw a pregnant zombie this year, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Yeah, it's funny. There's a whole bunch of comments on here about the fact that people feel like the zombie birth in 28 years later worked. The zombie birth in We Bury the Dead did not work. There's a lot of those comparisons out here. It was done strangely, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a bummer. We did see a better zombie movie.
A much better zombie movie.
As well, which has inspired our episode this week. We both went and saw 28 years later, The Bone Temple, a sequel to 28 years later, the now fourth in the series, the 28 series.
Bone Temple is fourth, yeah.
Bone Temple's fourth, yeah. I have to say my high-level review is that it was a really good film that was really hard to watch at times. When Marissa and I went and saw it, she almost walked out of the theater once or twice. It was just, and I concur. I mean, it was just, the sadism was so intense.
Yeah.
That it was just difficult to watch. It ramped it up. It really kind of became a horror movie.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah, definitely.
But at the same time, it was so well done, and it was just really. I mean, I continue to think that Ray Fiennes' character is absolutely fantastic. I loved him in 28 Years. I liked him even more in this version in the Bone Temple. Yeah, I give it a 4 stars. I think it might even go up later on if I see it again. But I don't know how quickly I'm going to come back to it. Like I need some time to detox from that experience.
Fair. Yeah, I'm probably not going to watch it again until the third installment comes out, just as a little refresher. Mm-hmm. But you're absolutely right. And there's definitely a specific scene that you're referring to that takes place in a barn. We won't spoil anything. But a few things around this scene. First of all, I just couldn't believe how long we were there. Like, I kept thinking we were going to cut away at any moment, and we just
in the barn scene,
staying in this scene. Yeah. And it was super uncomfortable. And this is rather hilarious to me. There's a lady in front of me who started off by just, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Oh, like kind of loudly saying that over and over again. Mm-hmm. And then she started sobbing into her jacket. So like muffled sobs happening right in front of me. And I was actually with Bo, and he leans over and is like, is she crying? And I was like, I think so. And in my head, I'm like, if you are that affected by this, I don't think this movie's for you. Like, at this point, I think you need to leave because you're just sitting in the theater sobbing, closing your eyes, trying to get through this scene. That I think is a pretty good reflection of how this scene actually plays out. It was tough. It was super tough. Yeah. I don't know that I've ever seen on screen anything necessarily that violent. We don't watch a whole lot of horror, so we're not like, we're used to violence and stuff, but not that high level horror violence. So that was I wasn't quite expecting that.
Again, I'm going to go back to a word I used earlier. It's sadism, and when we watch a zombie movie, particularly, I mean, there can be a lot of blood and guts, and it can be gross.
Yeah.
But these are mindless creatures, so to speak, that are either doing the killing or are being killed. It's easier emotionally to kind of compartmentalize that. But this was such a drawn out scene of absolute inhuman sadism that, I mean, I had a head buried into my chest for that entire scene. And halfway through it, I was pretty certain that I was going to be asked to walk out of the movie and not finish it. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I am not going to end up seeing the second half of this movie because this is just too brutal.
Yeah.
Didn't end up walking out. We finished it. And, and Marissa's review was solid too. I mean, she said the same thing. She said, a really good movie that I don't think I'll ever watch again. I don't think I can stomach watching it again, but it was really good.
You definitely bring up an interesting point though. Like, Samson, the zombie, has a few extremely brutal kills, and those are like cool versus watching the humans just torture each other, which is arguably like around the same level of violence, but just the way it plays out and the fact that there's intent and like there's relishing of it is just, it was a lot.
Yeah. But, I mean, visually, I think we see more of Samson's kills than we actually see in the barn. Yeah. But we see way more than I expected to see in the barn. And it was brutal. Now, I mean, again, I think that horror movie fans are probably listening to us right now and thinking that we're
wussies.
We're just a bunch of wusses. Yeah. And it's the kind of thing that they're used to watching in all their favorite films. You can have it. I'm okay with that. I don't need that kind of sadism in my life. I think, so I kind of feel like it was too much. But I don't know. I mean, it was certainly the point. The point of this film, I think, was very similar to the point of the first film, 28 Days Later, where you're saying like, there are monsters that you should be afraid of. But guess what? There are humans that you should be even more afraid of. And
definitely.
And so I think that was 100% the point that Nia DaCosta was trying to show us, that Alex Garland was trying to show us as well. And I think it's what he and Danny Boyle were trying to show us in the first one as well, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll say this. Another thing that I was nervous about going into this movie was the way that 28 Years Later ended. The last couple minutes of that movie, where we're introduced to the Jimmies, was easily my least favorite part of the whole movie. It took a huge tonal shift. It got to me extremely goofy, and then when I found out that the Bone Temple was going to be following this group, I was like, okay, I don't know that I find this necessarily interesting anymore.
Yeah.
She did not go for the same tone. She took these characters, she kind of kept like aspects of it, but for the most part, this was not trying to be a Danny Boyle film, and it was not trying to match the tone that he set up at the end of his movie. And I'm kind of, in this case, really okay with that. I thought this movie overall really worked, and I think story-wise, it might be more interesting than the first movie. And a lot of that has to do with Samson and Dr. Kelson, which personally for me, the standout of the movie, when we were spending time with that group, these were my favorite moments of the whole film, personally.
Yeah.
Ralph Fiennes is just incredible, always, but like he's incredible in this. And the stuff that they're doing with Samson's character, I thought was really interesting also. So overall, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. There were just some points that were rather difficult to watch.
Yeah. I mean, 28 Years Later is a really well-made zombie film, but it doesn't touch on the human monstrosities of this. The villain in 28 Years Later is really and truly Samson and some of the other alphas, so to speak, and the zombie apocalypse itself. It's interesting from a character perspective because of the relationship between Spike and his father, between Spike and his mother, and ultimately between Spike and Dr. Kelson. But it doesn't touch on that. So this really, I think the tonal shift is necessary because she's now saying, okay, yeah, we've reestablished that this threat exists. You've got Dr. Kelson, who is actively trying to figure out how to humanize the zombies, whereas you've got Jimmy and the Teletubbies who are turning their humanity into monstrosity. Yeah. And so I think that was necessary. The first time I saw the ending of 28 Years Later, I agreed with you. The second time I watched it, it worked for me. And I think it works even better now that I know what the Jimmies are about. I think that the goofiness of them, like that's how they're approaching their world.
Totally.
You know? And so I think it really ties in together. And I have to say that I don't want to add any spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen this yet or is planning to, but this circles all the way back to 28 Days Later in a way that I think is insanely effective, and where most series like this that have progressed, especially over 20 something years between the first and these, like when they if they try and do this sort of fan, like it seems like fan service, it just doesn't.
Are you referring to the ending?
Doesn't work well. Yeah, I'm referring to the ending, but not just the ending, but because the opening sequence gives us one of the most effective like recaps that we could possibly have. It sets it up perfectly. Like as the movie is starting, we're at a black screen and we're hearing the volume slowly increase and increase and increase, and it screams and it shouts and it screams, and it's the zombies, and it's the sound of essentially it's the sound of the virus taking over the world. And then it cuts and you hear Cillian Murphy's voice from the first movie saying hello, and it's his line from shouting in the church seconds before he encounters his first undead, his first zombie. And I just thought it was such a beautifully put together, like it took them 15 seconds, 20 seconds maybe, to set it up and remind us everything, all that you really need to know is this, go. And then from then on, and when we get to the end, for them to circle it back again, I just thought it was a really perfect denouement. I think it was a really lovely way to finish, and a really nice epilogue. And it gets me really excited for 28 years later, part 3, whatever. Do we have a name for that yet?
I don't think we have a name for it yet, but I absolutely agree. And another, I guess, kind of callback in a sense was the score that played at the end of that scene that you're talking about during the credits. It's the scene from 28 Days Later, and then it was kind of revamped a little bit with 28 Weeks Later, but I don't think it was in 28 Years Later at all. The score. So hearing it drop at the end of the movie during the credits, it's a really good score, by the way, so it just really hits very well. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with everything you just said. The only thing I will say is this. For me, I started off 28 Years Later on a 4-star rating. When I rewatched it in preparation for Bone Temple, it jumped up to a 4.5, which I kind of had a feeling it would. I really liked that movie. Now,
I think I was at 3.5 and bumped it to 4. Yeah.
Okay, so now this movie for me is at a 4, and I'm curious to see if it will have a similar trajectory as 28 Years Later, with me rewatching it in about a year or two and jumping it up again, because what you can't deny is the quality of filmmaking here. It's phenomenal.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I really liked it a lot, and I'm glad that we now have the opportunity to use it as inspiration for our episode in this draft, because we've both historically really liked zombie movies.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny is, as we kind of transition into our draft here, I was looking at all the zombie movies I've watched. And you know what's crazy is I haven't seen that many zombie movies. What in reality, I just really like the zombie movies that I've seen. And so that's pretty interesting. And part of it too is I really love The Walking Dead. And that's, like 30 zombie movies basically. So that's most of my zombie content right there. But yeah, no, I just thought that was kind of interesting how I haven't actually seen that many zombie movies, but I do really enjoy them.
Well, there's 3 to 6 pretty good zombie TV shows over the years.
Totally.
And most recently, The Last of Us is zombie-ish. We have The Walking Dead. We have all those different spin-offs.
Yeah.
What are there? Three different spin-offs, I think, from The Walking Dead?
Dude, no, there's The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, The Ones Who Live, another one with Negan and Maggie. So that's at least 6, and I think I'm missing one. So it's a little ridiculous at this point. I've only seen The Walking Dead, and I think
have not watched the others either.
I think I maybe have not even seen the last season or 2 because it kind of really started to fall off. But prime Walking Dead, some of my favorite television.
Before we get into the draft, I'm going to throw out one other television series that I think is worth watching if you're into zombies.
Okay.
And it's lesser known. I believe it's Korean. It's called All of Us Are Dead. Okay. And I should look it up right now because I may be misidentifying what country it was made in.
Don't do that.
It's been a while since I watched it, but really good show. I don't remember where it is available to stream.
Probably
at the moment, but it's a good zombie show as well. If you haven't seen that, it's Korean.
Okay.
I was right about that, and hopefully I can let us know where it's available to stream.
You got 3 seconds.
It doesn't say. So if you could, Netflix. It's on Netflix.
Okay, there you go.
So All of Us Are Dead on Netflix, a really cool Korean zombie TV show that you should check out if you have time.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's dive into our draft, and you can kind of break down how it's going to go if you'd like real quick. You want to give them the rules?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we're going to be drafting a total of 10 zombie films. We're going to be doing a snake draft. I'll be going first this time around. Braden will take 2 and 3, and then back to me with 4 and 5, and onward to 10. So we're going to be ranking I Am Your Father's collective 10 favorite zombie films. and kind of also just trying to decide who has the better 5 on the list. You know what? It's important, I think, to note too, for us as well as our listeners, that there's dozens and dozens of different like Reddit threads out there, hundreds of posts and comments and everything. All these fanboys and purists who are arguing with each other in really aggressive and unnecessary ways about what makes a zombie movie, or just what makes a zombie in general. I did a little bit of tinkering around to kind of see what our definition ought to be. And it just gets muddier and muddier the more you look at it. There's a website I found called zombiefandom.com, which claims to be sort of the Zombiepedia or Wiki Zombie kind of website. They list 64 different types of zombies. Some of them make sense. Some of them are way too specific, in my opinion. But the point here is that we're not going to be purists. If it walks like a zombie and it moans like a zombie and it ends the world like a zombie, then we're gonna call it a zombie. It doesn't matter if this is virus related.
I think zombies do have to eat flesh.
Yes, absolutely. There's flesh eating involved, but other than that, the way they became a zombie, whether they survived some kind of nuclear attack, or it's a virus, or it's supernatural in some way, we're not going to debate that. We're gonna be okay with how that went. Those
dang fanboys. We're not passionate about anything ourselves.
No, casual as can be.
Yep.
Okay. Well, why don't we start off? I'm gonna go first.
Yep, you go first.
And I am going to take a movie that we were really just talking about, actually. But I'm going to take the original 28 Days Later as my number one draft pick. I think this movie is brilliant for so many reasons. And I kind of, as I was looking at this, I kind of had what I ultimately dubbed as the 28 problem, which is, like, which of these do I think? To me, I think the second one is inferior to the other 3. There are certainly things about the third and fourth films, the year later films, that are better. But there's something perfect to me about the rawness and the intensity of the first film and the performances. We didn't really know Cillian Murphy at the time. We didn't really know Naomi Harris at the time. Like, these were fairly unknown actors. It felt so real. It was just such a mind-blowing film, and I think it really reignited the world's, at least, and definitely in the US, it reignited people's interest and passion for the genre, for this subgenre of zombies. And I just think that Danny Boyle and Alex Garland's film is damn near perfect. So I think that it's not the original by any stretch, but it's the original of the 28 series, and I think it is a clear number one draft pick for me.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, it's kind of the definitive zombie movie. Mm-hmm. Even though it looks and sounds as though it was recorded on a BlackBerry a lot of the times. Yeah. But it's good. It's definitely good. If I had first pick, it's what I would have taken.
I think that works. It's the lo-fi nature of it is part of its charm.
Absolutely.
And so I really like that about it. There's a few other zombie movies I think that utilize lo-fi filmmaking to their advantage, and this is just a damn good film. Listen, Danny Boyle had successes, big successes. He could have made a different looking movie if he wanted to.
No, absolutely.
This is intentional.
Absolutely. So this makes my job difficult because this would have been my first pick for sure.
Yep.
And I have some others that are pretty clear to me, but I'm also very aware of what you're likely to take.
Are you?
I am. And so I'm trying to really balance the cost here, or weigh the cost here of what I want to do. I think, first of all, for me, I'm going to take kind of the movie that kind of got me into zombie movies in a lot of ways, although it's played a little more comedic.
Yeah,
damn and I'm going to take Zombieland right off the bat. I think this is just an absolute hilarious time. There's a lot of little quotes from this movie that I love to drop. I think it's Jesse Eisenberg at peak Jesse Eisenberg. I would say this and The Social Network are definitive Jesse Eisenberg in my mind.
I agree.
And, Woody Harrelson and Emma Stone, and Bill Murray. Yeah, it's It's really good. I laugh every time. I haven't seen it in a few years, and making this list, I realized I need to watch this again. I really love this movie. So I'm going to take that as my first pick. I guess that's the second overall pick. And
yeah, I mean, it's a great one. It definitely was high on my list. I had it in my top 3 or 4. And so, yeah, good call. Yeah, the Bill Murray sequences are hilarious.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You know, I guess I'm going to kind of follow a little bit of a theme here and take another less serious zombie movie, and one I know will hurt you, and that's Shaun of the Dead. I think and I'll be honest, part of the reason I'm taking this is because I know you want it so bad. I know you do. I know that this...
It 100% would have been my next pick.
Yeah, likely if you had picks 1 and 2, you probably would have taken 28 Days Later and Shaun of the Dead.
You were right.
And you wouldn't even be wrong. That's not a wrong opinion to have. Shaun of the Dead is, again, hilarious. It kind of takes the zombie genre and puts it on its head and makes fun of it in a lot of ways. And we talked about it not too long ago, because one of my homework assignments was making like subtle references at it and nods towards it. I think it's hilarious. Obviously, it's part of the trilogy. I haven't seen The End of the World or At World's End, whatever it's called. But Shaun of the Dead is hilarious. I think it's... Although I now have 2 kind of unserious zombie movies, I think they're 2 of the best zombie movies that I could have on my list.
Yeah, they are in a lot of ways related, I think, to the resurgence of the genre's popularity. You have 2002, you've got 28 Days Later. 2004, I believe, you have Shaun of the Dead. So within 2 years, you have a really serious lo-fi scary version, and then you have a spoof that somehow manages to also be scary, but absolutely hilarious, and at the same time. And I think after that, we've kind of had a pretty steady stream of zombie content since 2004.
Absolutely.
I'm
You're hurt. You're
definitely
wounded.
annoyed by that choice.
You're bleeding out currently.
Okay, I've got 2 choices here.
The truth is you have the chance to do it right back to me. There's 2 that I want, and I'm not sure I'll get them.
It's interesting because I'm looking at my list right now, and I'm thinking to myself, like, what would he take next? What should I grab? And honestly, I feel like the one that I think you're most likely to take next is lower on my list.
How do you play it?
And then, realistically, my next favorite zombie film, I'm not sure you've even seen. So I might be able to get it down at 9 if I'm lucky.
Maybe.
So this is tricky. Okay, so I think that the first thing that I should probably do here is take... Oh, dang.
Tricky.
There's for sure 3 on my list right now that I want, because you took 2 of my let's say if I had to organize this, my top 6 were really solid, and you just took 2 of my top 6.
Yeah,
you took 2 and 3 from my list.
The truth is
in reverse order, but you still took 2 and 3.
Yeah, there's really solid zombie content. Like, you still have great choices.
For sure. All right. I'm gonna go with a film that I really love. I don't think it gets talked about enough, but it's a great zombie movie, in my opinion. I'm gonna go with Overlord.
Yep.
Overlord.
Is this the one you thought I hadn't heard of?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Not heard of, by the way. I didn't say you hadn't heard of it. I just think that there's a chance you haven't seen a different movie, not Overlord. I am pretty sure you have seen Overlord, right?
I have seen Overlord.
Yeah.
It's great.
Quick setup here. This is World War II, Allies versus the Nazis. The Nazis, turns out, are experimenting with zombie infection technology, I guess, to try and create an undead army in order to defeat the Allies. It's both a really cool war movie and a really cool zombie movie at the same time. Super well done, scary as hell at some points, really good creature effects, some great acting. Yeah. If you haven't seen Overlord, I would highly recommend it, especially if, like me, you grew up on really great like World War II content. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Overlord. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, everything you just said. It's a good one. I really enjoyed it. I actually was not sure that you had seen it, so I was hoping that I might be able to get it later down the line.
Yep.
But yeah, this also belongs on my list.
Okay.
Decisions.
So now I'm going to roll the dice, and I'm going to take one that I think should be taken. I'm going to leave one out there that I'm really hoping you don't take later. I'm going to go with what I consider to be the OG. It's definitely not the first undead movie, but I'm going to go with Night of the Living Dead from 1968, George Romero's original zombie film. And this one it certainly at times doesn't like hold up to expectations of current movies, but it's surprising how often it does, especially when they're cutting to soldiers on the front lines or people who are on the television being interviewed, doctors and things like that. It really works well. There's a handful of characters that you care about ultimately quite a lot, and there are some sequences that are genuinely frightening. So I think that this is really the film that put zombies on the map from my perspective back in 1968, and I think it deserves a decent place on our list. So Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah, I mean, this is a movie you only have rated 3.5 stars. You called it corny. A few other things, I'm pretty sure.
Corny, but in a good way.
Now that you didn't say in your review.
Corny, but in a good way. No. Corny, okay. But yes, it at times feels corny if you don't put it in the right context. There's some of the fight sequences aren't exactly well choreographed. They didn't have the guys from John Wick managing the fight sequences, admittedly. But what I'm saying is it's surprising how frightening this film from 1968 can be, and I think it deserves extra credit for inspiring everything else after it.
Okay. Well, at this point, I'm not super sure what it is that you're leaving out there that you're hoping to grab later. Because you have two more?
Yep.
Yeah, you have two more. I think I'm just going to kind of play my own game here, go with the movies that I personally enjoy. And this next one's interesting. I think it gets somewhat mixed reviews. You either really enjoy this movie or you're just middle of the pack on it. For me, I'm going to take World War Z. I really enjoyed this zombie movie. Anything Brad Pitt is going to jump up a little bit for you and I. Remember watching this movie with my buddy Johnny. He's shown it to me for the first time. He brought it over on DVD, and we put it in, and like something happens in the first couple minutes of the movie where I was like, holy crap, it's that kind of movie. Like, this movie means business. And from that point on, it's pretty nonstop. Like, it's nonstop all the way through. And then for me, what I think is maybe the most interesting choice the movie makes is where you would normally insert, the biggest battle, the biggest horde of zombies, just the biggest part of your budget. The movie really climaxes at a point that's really slow and methodical, and there's one or two zombies, but you have to play it safe, and it really is tense in the last 20 minutes of the movie. For me, this works. It subverts expectations. It does something that, zombie movies don't normally do in that sense. So I really appreciate that. And then I also think story-wise, it looks at zombies in a somewhat interesting way that, like we talked about all the different kinds of zombies. It was one that I hadn't really seen before. So I appreciate that about it as well.
It's a really good movie, and I agree. It doesn't get talked about enough. I think in some ways it kind of got, like, Brad Pitt being at the center of the film, being the star of the film, almost gave people the wrong expectation about the kind of film it was going to get, because he was definitely sort of peak movie star Brad era there. And so I think people discounted it in a way, and they forgot that Brad Pitt is just the handsomest character actor to ever live. Yeah. Because he's really good in any type of role, including this type of role.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I would agree with that assessment of how it went down. Moving on, for my second to last pick, this is 7 overall. This is where that loose definition of zombie is going to come in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was kind of on the fence as to whether or not we would count this. And then I saw your notes, and I was like, you know what? We're counting it. And I'm going to take I Am Legend. I think this is a zombie movie. They don't act like your typical zombies in a lot of ways, but to me, this is a zombie apocalypse. This is exactly that. You have these creatures who have infested the world. They were initially infected. They run at you really fast. They try to bite you. And Will Smith at the center. I would argue that this is Will Smith doing what he does best. You know, he's pretty hit or miss, but I'd say this is Will Smith on top of his game. I think the story is really compelling. I think some of the visuals, you know, this was kind of like when they were starting to figure out full CGI a little bit. So in a lot of ways, it's a little dated in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I think overall, it's a really, really solid movie. And I would pretty much be down to throw this one on at any given moment.
Really?
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Okay. Out of curiosity, have you ever seen Omega Man?
Omega Man?
Yeah, the film that I Am Legend is. Well, so I Am Legend, I think, is the name of the book.
Okay.
And then Omega Man was the first adaptation of that book in the 70s. Maybe there was another one, The Last Man on Earth or something like that. And then Omega Man. Anyway, there's some older versions of this story, and then the Will Smith one was a sort of reboot of that.
Okay.
Of that group. Omega Man is definitely worth watching if you haven't got a chance.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not perfect. It's not going to make my list, but I think you should check it out.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like you said, for me, with Will Smith, it's like I either really like him or I really can't stand him in these films. I think that this one pushes the limit for me in terms of me liking him, but I do like him in this, and I think it's a good choice.
Okay. You have 8 and 9.
I do. I have 8 and 9, which means I can not worry about losing anything at this point. I can just take what I want.
Take what you want. Do it.
Yeah. Okay. I am going to next go with the Korean film Train to Busan.
Yep, that's a good one.
I think this is a fantastic zombie movie, and just really creates a lot of tension throughout. Characters that you really quickly start to care about and fall in love with throughout and are rooting for. The human tension of it is really high in this. Some of the sequences in terms of like the running zombies or the sprinting zombies and the hordes of them are so intense and frightening. It's really
overwhelming.
Cool. Yeah, and overwhelming. I think kind of similar in a lot of ways to World War Z from that perspective, but all sort of just like, hyper focused into this group of people that are on this train and trying to get home. So you've seen this movie?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah,
one time a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I think it's great, and for me, it's one of my favorite zombie films ever. And not enough people have seen it. So,
is this the one you thought maybe I hadn't seen?
It is the one I thought maybe you hadn't seen yet. I was kind of hoping you hadn't, but I'm glad you didn't take it.
Yeah, I could have taken it, honestly. I wasn't sure if it was on your list. I also was not sure if you had seen it. So there you go. Guess we don't talk about every movie we watch.
All right. Yeah, fair enough. All right, we are down to my last pick. I'm gonna throw something out here. I am actively not gonna take another 28 movie just because I want to keep my list. I want to keep my list, I don't know, diverse, I guess, in that sense. Buddy. I really think I could have very easily put 28 Years Later or The Bone Temple somewhere else on my list. I think they're both really, really great films and maybe even better films than a few that are on my list, but I want to keep it diverse. So I feel like having the best, in my opinion, 28 franchise pick on my list is the way to go, and not to fill it up with another 28. So I'm going to go with a film that I just watched not that long ago in sort of preparation and doing some research on some of the more liked zombie films that I hadn't yet seen. I'm going to go with Wreck. This one is this one, I think I talked about this in my review. I think, the idea of this sort of found footage or, a natural handheld in the world camera documenting what's going on, definitely not new when this film came out. This is not revolutionary. They weren't original in that way. But I think that in so many ways, this film finds a smarter way for these characters to keep the camera rolling than the overwhelming majority of these type of films.
Great point.
I think that they do a really good job of figuring out when the camera should get turned off for what reason. They have some really fun tricks at times where the sound is going in and out, or the lights are going on and off, or things like that really heighten the tension in a very cool way. This film is in Spanish. It takes place in Barcelona, I believe. And
did you watch it in Spanish?
I did watch it in Spanish, yes.
Okay.
With subtitles. Yeah. And I loved it a lot. I think that there were a number of times when the jump scares were above my level of enjoyment, but I was able to get through it, and I think that it's a solid, and I think it could and should very well be here on our top 10. So I'm going to go with Wreck if you haven't seen it. There's actually 3 more. There's 3 sequels.
All of which reviewed much worse.
2, 3, and 4, yeah. But this is so I don't know that I'll watch the sequels, but this is a good one. Just check it out if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I just watched it and I found it terrifying personally. So
it was at times terrifying.
It's not one that I'm going to revisit because I don't necessarily love being terrified. This very much is one of those movies that plays like a horror movie. It just you're in the dark and you're waiting for something to scare the crap out of you, and then it does. So that's not really my kind of movie, generally speaking. I watched it for this because zombie movie for our zombie movie draft, but it's not going to make my list. Even though I would say that it was good, I would agree that it was good.
I think some of the reason that it works, though, like I'm saying, is like I wasn't familiar with the lead performer. I don't even remember her name off the top of my head. But as I was watching it, she plays a reporter. She felt like a reporter to me. Like it felt really real in that way.
Yeah.
And a lot of the other actors, obviously I don't know them. I don't know Spanish actors too well. So I had no baggage with this, and it just added to the intensity of the viewing experience.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'm not worried about taking another 28 years because that's exactly what I'm going to do. I had a feeling I could hold off on this till the end because I didn't think you were going to put 2 on your list. Yeah. So I'm just going to take 28 years later. That is not the Bone Temple, 28 years later. For me, I know at least at the moment, Bone Temple is higher or generally higher rated. I enjoyed the first one quite a bit more. I've seen it obviously twice now, and I think it's honestly special. I love a lot of the decisions that Danny Boyle makes. I love the subversion of the plot. I went into it having only seen one trailer, and halfway through the movie, I was like, wait, what's going to happen for the second half of this movie? So I was just fully taken on that ride, which is pretty cool. The performances were so much better than I was expecting. The use of music is incredible. And I think they really did just a great job at taking this franchise that they had built over the course of literally almost 28 years, which is hilarious, and stayed true to it and built upon it in really great ways and did a lot of setup for a future franchise that I'm totally on board for. So honestly, for me, this is one of the more definitive zombie movies. It's one that I will likely turn on the most because I think it's of the highest quality in all of those aspects. So that'll be my 5th pick, the 10th pick to round off our list.
Yeah, I can't argue with you, and I think it's some nice parallelism, I think, here to have my first and your last choices both being from that franchise. It is a great film. It's got a lot of rewatchability. It's got characters that you care about, characters with flaws that you are really rooting for, and it ups even its own stakes as far as the types of zombies that we're dealing with here. You know, we've got these alphas now. We hadn't had those in the previous films, but it doesn't feel like they're just like, okay, how do we up the ante? What do we come up with? You know, what's the new hybrid dinosaur that we're going to throw out there?
Right.
It feels earned and it works.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
It introduced a lot without feeling, I mean, I'm just repeating what you said, I guess, without feeling unearned. So yeah. I definitely agree with you. I'll recap our lists real quick just so we can fully see where we're at. Cool.
Okay. And then afterwards, you mind if I throw out a few honorables?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great.
I'll do the same. So for our zombie movie draft, you started us off with 28 Days Later, obviously the definitive zombie movie. I followed up with Zombieland and Shaun of the Dead. A little more unserious, but absolutely great time. In 4, you took Overlord. Great movie. Absolutely check it out if you have not seen it. Then you took Night of the Living Dead, a classic, 1968, I believe.
Yep.
I then followed it up with World War Z. Brad Pitt starring in a zombie movie. Do you need to know more? I didn't. Then I took I Am Legend. You could argue about whether or not they're zombies. I say they're zombies, so they're zombies on this list. You took Train to Busan in 8, a great, overwhelming, confined zombie movie. And then in 9, you took Rec or Record or whatever it's called, a Spanish movie, found footage, terrifying in my opinion. Somehow you survived it, and I think you're a bigger scaredy cat than me. And then in 10, I took 28 Years Later, one of my personal favorite zombie movies that just came out last year. So that's pretty fun.
Yeah. You know, the funny thing is when I was watching Rec, it reached a certain point where they're going up into an attic.
Yep, I know.
And I'm in bed, it's late at night, and I'm like, I just paused it. I was like, I'm going to finish this in the morning.
Yeah, good call.
I am not going to, I don't know what is up there, but I am not ready to see it.
And then when you pressed play the next morning, you were glad you paused it the night before.
Yeah, I absolutely was glad I had paused it the night before. Really good list. I like this list a lot. I think we've got some variety in there. Okay,
I think
so
mine's better known. I think I'll get the votes this time around because I think I have some better known stuff.
You have the more commercial list. I agree,
and the better list.
But I think I have the more eclectic and interesting and well thought out list.
You have the more stuck up list. That's for sure.
All right, a few honorables from my perspective. I'm gonna say the Bone Temple. We talked about that already. It definitely could have easily been in this list.
100%.
And the second Zombieland movie is really good too. Double Tap is a lot of fun. I enjoy Double Tap quite a bit. It plays really perfectly as a back-to-back. So I think that's worth mentioning. I'm going to also mention a homework assignment that I gave you a number of weeks back around Christmas time, Anna and the Apocalypse. I thought you gave it a decent review at the time.
I thought it was fine.
If you haven't seen this one or heard us talk about it before, this is a Christmas zombie musical. It's a good time. Warm Bodies. I enjoy Warm Bodies. I think it's a good one. Again, subverting the genre in a way that's really funny. And then the last one that I'll throw out as an honorable mention is Resident Evil. Again, I think that there's more going on than just zombies here. I know, so the zombie purists are going to tell me that this isn't a zombie movie. I think of it as in a lot of ways as one. And
it's your list.
Yeah. Or one more I just thought of. Cabin in the Woods, also a horror film, but it has a sort of meta. There's definitely zombies. They literally identify them as zombies. Yeah. Redneck torture zombies, I think they're referred to as. But anyway, so those are my honorables. What do you got on your honorable list that I didn't mention?
You definitely covered most of them. The only others I'll throw out are Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead.
Oh yeah,
not the best zombie movie, but it's good. It's a little gruesome at times, in classic Zack Snyder fashion.
And it's totally worth it.
Yeah, no, it's good.
It's totally worth it to watch that film.
Yes, absolutely. The other one I'll throw out as a movie I just watched today. I don't know if you've even heard of it. Peter Jackson directed a zombie movie called Brain Dead. Also, like it says that it's called Dead Alive. So it has like two different titles. It's hard to find because of that.
I knew it is Dead Alive.
Dead Alive, yeah.
Yeah, and I have seen it.
Brain Dead.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Gosh, it's been 25, 30 years since I've seen that movie. I feel like. When did it come out?
It came out in 1992.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll say this. It is in a lot of ways ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I was looking up like the parent guide beforehand to kind of gauge where I was at, and it said it was gory, but holy crap, was it gory. It was it's played comedic in a lot of ways. Like it's very cheesy, it's very low budget, it feels like, but the practical effects, you just kind of have to sit back and thank God for practical effects. They're just so fun. At points, my stomach was churning because how gross it was. Like truly, many, many times. But I just love practical effects. So this movie did that very well. And I think that'll round off my honorable mentions.
Okay. I'm going to add one more for us to talk about at least, real briefly. The 1978 Dawn of the Dead. We both rewatched that.
Yes, we did.
Or it was a first time watch for you?
First time.
Okay. So I did a rewatch and you did a first time watch this week in prep for this. What did you think of Dawn of the Dead 1978? Also a George Romero film.
Yeah, I actually liked it a lot, to be honest.
That's good.
It's very flawed, very cheesy. I kind of went into it expecting it to be campy. And it was all of those things. It's very dated. I don't think it ages very well at all. A lot of the zombie makeup is weak, but then a lot of the other practical effects.
A lot of it's really bad.
Yeah, no, it is.
Like the blue face paint, I don't understand that at all.
No, yeah, you're right. But then there are other effects that are really good, I feel like. Yeah. Like the actual zombie bites and a lot of stuff like that I think work very well. So it was basically what I expected it to be, and I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did rewatches of both Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead, and I obviously chose one to put on my list here. But they both suffer from some of the same things. I mean, the first couple zombies we meet in Night of the Living Dead just look like people. They don't even look like zombies. They're just like people walking like zombies, you know. But somehow it's still kind of terrifying. So anyway, yeah, Dawn of the Dead is a little. I found on rewatch that it was hard to get into and hard to take seriously. Eventually, I kind of just forgot about that and was okay with it. But
yeah, fair enough.
All right, not a bad list.
Yeah, no, it's good. Should we move on to homework?
Yeah, let's talk about homework.
We're gonna finish in record time, dude.
We're over an hour.
Well, we're not. Already. We're not actually. We were recording for a little before we started.
We had some banter. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, let's talk homework. I gave you Michael Clayton, starring George Clooney, and I don't think you liked it.
No, I was just going to ask if you saw my Letterboxd review or not.
Yeah. I saw your stars. I didn't read an actual review.
Yeah, I'll just preface by saying I was very excited for this. I generally like plots revolving around lawyer stuff or courtrooms, and George Clooney is I'm generally positive on, and then Tony Gilroy, coming off of Andor, I would almost consider him God in a lot of ways, and so I was very excited about this, and I was just severely disappointed. I thought that, again, people are going to clown on me if anybody actually listens, because I've been using this word kind of often, but I thought it was boring. I thought it was a little convoluted, and at one point Nat looked at me and was like, she actually said this multiple times throughout the movie. She's like, I have no idea what's going on. And it's definitely a movie that's like just giving you a little bit at a time. Like it's playing like further ahead than you are. And it's kind of just dragging you along like, oh, here's a little more, here's a little more, here's a little more. We're up here. Yeah. You'll get here maybe eventually. So I understand that. And I think things like that really work for me in Andor. Andor is very similar in that sense. It's very high level. It's very intelligent. But for me, in this case, it just did not work. The payoff was never there for me. It never really got very high up in terms of my enjoyment. I just found it extremely... Like, I found myself watching it because it was my homework, unfortunately. So
that happens.
It happens, yeah. I'm bummed. I wish I liked it. I wanted to, but
I do too.
I didn't love it.
You, in terms of like film buffs, you're in the minority for sure.
Yeah, which I find myself in often.
It does only have a 3.8 on Letterboxd. I expected it to be higher on Letterboxd, to be honest.
It's great though.
And I'm looking at a handful of film critics and pundits that I follow, and it's pretty consistently 4.5 or 5 stars from all of them. And then there's your little picture here on Letterboxd, 2.5 measly stars.
Yeah. Well, it happens, like you said.
Yeah.
It happens to me a lot. It happens to me a lot.
It does. It happens to you. A lot of the homework I give you, your response is it's boring.
That's just not true. I'm not
saying I'm not saying all of it. I'm saying that I bet if we went through the list of homework I've given you, there's more sub 3-star movies on that list than I would like there to be.
Well, of course, and it's exactly the same for the homework I've given you. So we clearly have somewhat different tastes or different appreciations, but it's not like, I don't think that there's... This just sounds like me defending myself, which is funny, but I don't think there's just like a gap in the level of intelligence of movies that we like or anything like that. Like, I appreciate...
You're saying you're not unintelligent?
I'm not stupid. I know that.
No, you're definitely not.
And it's just hit or miss for me. I don't know. Like, I think in this case, it was just really missing the moments that made me feel excited in the movie.
Yeah.
But there's lots of homework you've given me I never expected to like that I liked a lot.
For sure.
You've definitely been generally... you're more positive than you are negative.
Fair enough. But when you haven't liked my homework assignments, you have really not liked them a lot.
We should do...
I'm gonna
do a recap of our homework assignments at one point down the line. And we'll cover the best and worst.
Well, I also think we should start posting clips of us talking about the homework assignments as well, because it's different type of content than we have in other cases, so people might want to keep up with us. Listen, I'm going to tell you, rewatch this film in a year or two, and I'm curious how you feel about it on rewatch.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing about scripts like this is, the first time around, like I said, I was just kind of getting dragged, and so now knowing where we're going, knowing the end destination and everything like that, it's entirely possible that I rewatch it and am picking up on more things and appreciating more things and so forth. So it's entirely possible, and I definitely will check it out again in the future because of the nature of it.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, shall we move on?
Well, yeah, I reassigned you some makeup work. Neza 2. Did you get to watch it this time?
I did. Okay, I did. Can you believe it?
You did not review it on Letterboxd, so I have no idea.
Not yet.
I definitely assume you're lower than I would think, or than I would have expected.
Okay, so I guess I haven't landed on what my star rating is going to be. I'm finding myself really conflicted about this film for a few reasons. Let me start with the positives. One of the most beautifully animated films I've ever seen. There were so many times when I was like, wow, that looks amazing, and that is so cool. And yet there are other times when I'm like, well, actually, pretty much the entire film, there was at least a big part of me saying, this is beautiful, but I have no idea what the hell's going on. You had told me that this was a sequel that did not require you to watch the first one. And I got to say, I did not feel that way. I felt like I was missing tons of backstory that was really important. And it took me, what is this, a 2.5 hour movie at least, right?
I don't know.
It took me a solid 45 minutes to an hour before I started to really pick up on all of the different relationships. There's a lot of brothers, and there's a lot of fathers and sons and cousins, and there's And some of the familial relationships are really confusing and hard to keep up with.
Yeah.
Because this is very Greek in the sense that you've got
Everybody.
you've got gods and immortals and mortals and demons and all these things that it's all somehow also seem to be crossbreeding and family with each other. So from that perspective, I was lost throughout the film. Through the overwhelming majority of the film, I was lost. We kept having to pause the film and I would explain, I'm like, no, that person, I'd explain to Marissa, that person is his brother, but his dad is over here. And then they did this and they're somehow related. And this, it was like, I was finally starting to pick up on that. And yet still I was like, there's significance to this plot that I'm not grasping.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that I might really, really like this movie again, or really, really like this movie if I can talk myself into watching it 2 or 3 more times. On first viewing, I was stunned and amazed by the animation. But really had trouble caring about any of the characters. I couldn't figure out who they were and what they were doing and what their motivations were and why I should care. But beautifully animated film.
Totally fair. And I will agree that might be one of the flaws of the film. The truth is most of the characters in this movie are new characters. Like most of them are. So yeah. I think that's more so a flaw of the movie rather than, bad advice and not watching the original. and because the truth is the original,
it's your fault, not their fault.
The first one is just, it's fine, but this one is just so much better, visually at least. Neja 2 is a visual feast. Absolutely. That was the main reason I wanted you to watch it.
Yeah, it really is.
Just to see the scale of it and maybe like some appreciation for the animators in that sense. I agree. I think it's flawed, but getting to see it on a big screen really helped my enjoyment of the film. So, but yeah, I think maybe a revisit wouldn't be horrible. I plan on revisiting it as well. On the spot rating,
I probably would give it a 4 because of the animation.
Okay.
I think the animation was that good. Yeah, it's a high rating. The animation is amazing. It could also be that the thing about the characters is that obviously since this movie was made for the Chinese audience, and was virtually unseen in the US. It did do 23 million in the US, which is surprising to me that it actually did that much, because I think it was pretty hard to find and not around for a long time. But I tried to look up a few things to maybe help improve my understanding, and it seemed to suggest some of what I was reading suggested that this is based on a pretty well-known set of Chinese myths and stories, and based on a pretty important book or something along those lines. So my guess is that the Chinese audience that this was made for knew who these characters were, even if they were new to the film. They were it would be not unlike what we were kind of talking about with the Odyssey in terms of so many of those characters and so many of that book and others are just kind of part of the culture. It seems like my guess is that it may be that way as well, but yeah. So yeah, I know it's weird to say I'm going to give this movie a 4 and I didn't understand it, but I think that the animation was that good. Yeah,
your rating absolutely speaks to just how amazing the animation is.
Yeah,
it's up there.
It was cool.
I knew you had to see it. You have to see it.
I mean, but there was so much happening at all times. It was really hard. It was like, okay, well now we have giant sharks and giant octopuses that are fighting everyone, and now we have dragons. But the dragons are also people. But now they're back to being dragons. It was so strange, and also the other thing I would say is it felt to me like in some ways it mixed animation styles, but not in a way that made sense. Like in Spider-Verse, where Spider-Verse is mixing animation styles as in a way to help drive the plot almost, and I don't know, it's like paying homage in a way. This was, at times, I was really trying to figure out why this character looks so realistic and this character looks so cartoonish at the same time. It was that part was a little confusing, but the animation was pretty damn intense.
Okay, well, this week I'm going to give you something quite a bit different.
Okay.
And you know a little bit about it. I won't give you too much. In fact, I'll give you almost nothing. But you're going to watch The Life of Chuck. This movie just came out 1 or 2 years ago, and starring Tom Hiddleston and a few other actors. Mark Hamill's in there as well. I think
last
going
year.
into this one last year. Okay,
2025.
I think going into it as blind as you can is best. And I'm just really curious. I'm really curious where you're going to land on this film.
Looks like it's available on Hulu. Is that right?
Yeah, that's where I watched it. Hulu.
Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, I don't know a lot about it. I'm looking forward to it. It does look like it has a good cast. All right, Life of Chuck. Fair enough. I'm also going to change up the genre and tone for you here. I'm going to give you a heist film, a British heist film called The Bank Job. This is let's call it prestige Jason Statham. You know, like not your normal Jason Statham film. So I'm hoping that you like it. I'm a tiny bit worried that you're gonna say it's boring, but whatever. Just go for it.
Are you actually? Okay.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Whatever. Get out of here.
Do you know anything about this movie? Has it been on your radar at all?
I know it's a heist movie with Jason Statham.
Okay. All right. We'll check that one out. Anything else we need to cover?
No, that's it.
I think we're good. Okay. Well, we've ranked and we've debated. We argued, disagreed, but not about who shot first. It's all just another day in the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah. So whether you're Gen X, Gen Z, or somewhere lost in the timeline, please continue to listen, like, share, and subscribe to I Am Your Father.
Until the next episode, remember that with great power comes a great second breakfast. Winter is also coming, so may the force live long and prosper with you.
Time to nut up or shut up.
Thanks, son.